Just calm down. You're overreacting. Why can't you just relax? Sit down. There's nothing wrong with you. If you have panic attacks, you've probably heard those phrases before. Friends and family have the best intentions when they say things like that. But as you probably know, phrases like that can make things worse. In my last video, I explained why those 5 phrases are not helpful for a panicker to hear while he or she is having a panic attack. For PsychCentral.com, I'm Summer Bretsky, and here are 5 more things that you should not say to somebody who is having a panic attack. Number 1, take a deep breath. Well, if a little oxygen is good, isn't a lot of oxygen better? No. The answer is no. And let me explain the science behind it. Okay, from this excellent self-help book, page 59. When you over-breathe or hyperventilate, excessive loss of carbon dioxide creates an imbalance in your blood. If continued, this drop in carbon dioxide leads to hypocapnic alkalosis, which is basically a fancy way of saying that your blood becomes less acidic. And when that happens, it indirectly causes the symptoms of hyperventilation, which include lightheadedness, dizziness, and further shortness of breath. And if you're panicking, you're probably already experiencing those symptoms anyway. So taking deep breaths when you're panicking is a bad idea because it can help you to hyperventilate. If you really feel the need to talk to the panicker in some way about his or her breathing, you might want to simply reassure them that soon enough their breathing will return to normal. Number 2, suck it up. Stop being a baby. Just get over it. That's not how it works. It's really not. Panic attacks are a real bona fide medical condition. I mean, would you ever tell anybody with diabetes who is going into hypoglycemic shock that they just need to get over it? Would you tell someone with 103-degree fever to just stop being a baby about everything? Would you tell someone who's having an asthma attack to just suck it up? No, of course not. Those are legitimate medical conditions. And so is a panic attack. Panic isn't necessarily under the panicker's control. So there's nothing to suck up. It's not about willpower. The idea of control during a panic attack might seem like this really far away pipe dream. You're not a high school football coach trying to motivate your team here. Telling a panicker to stop being a baby isn't going to motivate them at all. It's probably just going to make them upset and frustrated at best, and perhaps even more anxious at worst. The better thing to do is to frame that motivation positively. You might want to say something like, I know you can do this. You're strong and you're healthy and you've gotten over this before. Number 3, it's all in your head. No, it's not. And right now is not the most appropriate time for a philosophical discussion of the mind-body problem. Panic is very physical. It might start in your mind, but soon enough, it is going to overcome your body. Some of the most common symptoms of panic include lightheadedness, dizziness, sweating, shaking, heart palpitations, tunnel vision, stomach distress, rapid heart rate. I get frequent panic attacks myself, and I have had all of those symptoms just this past week. They are so incredibly real, and in the midst of a panic attack, sometimes that's all you can think of. Now, over time and through therapy, you can learn techniques that help to quiet that excessive physiological response, but until then, those symptoms can be incredibly difficult to deal with. And to be feeling nausea and dizziness and lightheadedness all the while someone is telling you it's just in your head? No! That kind of comment can feel incredibly frustrating for a panicker to hear. At the very least, validate him or her. Tell them that you believe them that they feel that way. Tell them that you believe they feel nauseous and lightheaded and dizzy. And you can remind them that those physiological sensations, however uncomfortable they are, don't mean that anything further is going to happen. So instead of it's all in your head, try, that sounds really uncomfortable. But remember, those feelings aren't going to hurt you. Number 4, what triggered this? Now, after a panic attack ends, it can be a very worthwhile thing to kind of return to the scene mentally and try and figure out what triggered it so that you can eventually learn about what causes you to panic and teach yourself to manage your anxiety symptoms more effectively. But during the heat of panic, talking about triggers can be triggering. It gives the panicker an opportunity to continue thinking over and over again about the trigger. So instead of trying to focus on how the panic attack started, just worry about the present moment. Try to help the panicker with the now. Acknowledge the fact that the panic attack is already occurring and simply ask, what can I do to help? And finally, number 5, just don't think about it. Don't think about an elephant right now. Don't you dare. You just thought of an elephant, didn't you? Right? Don't think about pizza. Don't think about a car accident. Don't think about a glass of water. Don't think about kittens. Don't think about panic. We can't just not think about it. That's the nature of panic itself. Biologically, we're designed to respond to these sensations by fighting or fleeing. Our body thinks mistakenly that we're in some kind of danger, and our body is preparing us to run for our lives. And in doing so, it cuts off some of the blood supply to our brain and some of the blood supply to our stomach, so that some unnecessary functions like digestion aren't going to occur when you need the energy to fight or flee. The panic response is like an all-over assault on our sense of logic. It's our body giving us this false message telling us that we are in danger. Now, over time and with therapy, someone who has frequent panic attacks can certainly learn to deal with some of the physiological sensations so that they're not always feeling tempted to fight or flee. But until then, it's very difficult to ignore those feelings. So instead of telling a friend or family member who is having a panic attack to just not think about the panic, help them do that. Help them achieve that in some way. If it's okay with the panicker, offer up something distracting. One of the biggest panic attacks I had in college was in my dorm room at night after my roommate fell asleep. And I felt really bad because I had to wake her up to let her know that I was having a panic attack because I thought I was dying. So my roommate helped me to get through it all by distracting me. We talked about our favorite children's books. It was a lighthearted enough topic to help me get through the next 20-25 minutes or so until the shaking slowed down. I told her about my favorite childhood book, The Monster at the End of This Book, and she told me about hers, which was James and the Giant Peach. Giving me something distracting and lighthearted to think about is much better than simply telling me what not to think about. Thank you for leaving all the great comments on my last video about what not to say to someone who's panicking. A lot of the inspiration for this video, and specifically the things not to say that I presented in this video, came from that comment section. Our friends and family truly do want to help us. Sometimes they just don't know the best way how. So if you've ever been told to suck it up or to take a deep breath while panicking, consider passing this video along to the friends and family members who love you and care about you. To learn more about panic attacks and panic disorder, you can visit psychcentral.com or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/psychcentral. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, let me know in the comments, what's the most unhelpful thing that anyone has ever told you while you were having a panic attack? For psychcentral.com, I'm Summer Boretsky.